Alright, hello everyone, it is silverkyle, and today I'm going to be going over my first thoughts and impressions of Final Fantasy VII, the remake on PlayStation 4. We finally have the remake. We've been waiting for this for like 15 years now. It's crazy to think that the game came out 23 years ago on PlayStation 1, and definitely by the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era, so the HD era, there was talk of wanting a remake. And I feel that the conversation had started a little bit before that even, probably by the end of the PlayStation 2 era, where there was rumblings of people wanting the remake. That's how big this game is. And, back then, remakes were not nearly as rampant as they are now. It was very uncommon for remakes. And it just shows that, really, Final Fantasy VII, the original, was the most influential RPG of all time. It brought so many people to the genre, brought it to the mainstream, and really changed the course of video games forever for RPGs going forward. People will say that Final Fantasy VII is overhyped, and I do think that there are definitely games and RPGs that I do enjoy more, like Final Fantasy IX, Legend of Dragoon. But Final Fantasy VII is still a phenomenal game, and its influence is second to none for RPGs. It basically made RPGs what they are now. So, the remake is totally worth the wait, in my opinion. This is exactly what I wanted from a remake. Now, I will say, though, that there are some people that probably, like Final Fantasy VII purists, there are some things that they don't exactly like, and I get that. I actually see where they're coming from, and we'll get into that, but this is what I wanted. And another thing is that this is the only the Midgar portion of Final Fantasy VII, so it's not the complete story. We're only at a portion of the first disc of the game out of a 3-disc game. So there's still so much more that they could do here. They probably have enough material to do at least another 3, maybe 4 or 5 parts to this to get the entire story, to get the entire complete version of Final Fantasy VII. And I want that. I want there to be 5 more. I want this to do so well that Square says, okay, we're doing all these other parts to it. We're going to complete the story, definitely. We could do even more with that afterwards. They'll go back and do Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy IX. Imagine Vivi in an HD remake like this. That would be amazing. They could go so much more in depth to his story. I would love that. And then Sony could be like, those remakes are doing really well. Let's remake The Legend of Dragoon. That is the goal. Final Fantasy VII finishing the story, getting 8, getting 9, and Legend of Dragoon. Anyway, this is about Final Fantasy VII. Let's talk about that. So, I pop this game in, and I'm greeted with amazing graphics. Square did such a great job. I feel that this is the best looking game I have ever played in 2020 so far. There's nothing that I can really compare to it. This is when I really felt, you know what? This feels like an actual current gen Xbox One, PlayStation 4 game. And I'm only playing it on the regular PlayStation 4. I'm not even playing it on Pro. I just think that they did such a great job with it. So the opening's happening, and then I see Aerith, and I start hearing the music, and they start panning out and showing the world. And then the logo goes on, and it just brings chills to my spine. I had goosebumps from that. That is what I love being as a gamer. That's how you do a remake. You add more to a game in the right ways, and you put, Final Fantasy VII has arguably some of the best music ever for video games, and I feel that especially for RPGs, the music is so important to the atmosphere and the enjoyment overall of the game. So already with that music that you're bringing in, and you see that opening, and it just, I felt like a kid again, honestly. That's how I feel with this game. I have not enjoyed a game this much since The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and that game is my second favorite game of all time, just to give you an idea of how much I'm enjoying this game. I'm about 10 hours in, Chapter 8, I think there's 18 chapters, so there's still a lot more for me to do. I'm doing every side quest, which I never do. I rarely ever care about side quests, but I'm just enjoying it so much that I want to see what else this game is going to offer me. So what it's doing is that it's still going through the entire story of the first disc in Midgar from what I've played so far. It's still hitting. You go to these areas that you're like, I was there in PlayStation 1. That's where I was. That's this. That's the town. It looks exactly as it does, just bigger, and obviously looking a lot better. You're still getting all the main parts of the story, just in more detail. The characters are so much more fleshed out. I really feel for Cloud. I love Tifa. I love Jessie. Jessie I never cared for before in the original, and now she's actually a character that, because she's had a lot of screen time, and you get to know a little more about her, I actually care for her now. The voice acting, which I never thought I really wanted in RPGs, because I grew up in the 90s with them where you read the text, and that's how I like it. but I'm really actually enjoying it. It adds more to it, and you're able to, with the cutscenes, then get more involved with these characters because that they are actually talking, and you can hear they're not just phoning it in for the most part. For the ones that I've heard, I really don't like the other two people that are with Jesse. One of them is the guy that voices one of the, or that is one of the characters in Breaking Bad. He voices one of the characters. I can't remember what his name is. I really can't stand him. I don't like him at all. I think Biggs or Briggs is the other guy, and he sounds like Charlie Sheen. I know it's not Charlie Sheen, but it sounds like him a little bit at times, which I didn't expect. Just something I noticed. But those two characters, I like the guy that sounds like Biggs or Briggs, whatever his name is. I like him a little bit more. He's okay, but I really like Jesse. I like Tifa. I like Cloud. Other than once in a while, he'll be like, huh? What? Huh? He'll be confused and he doesn't say anything. He just makes these noises, and I'm like, I could live without that. Barrett, I didn't like at the beginning, but now I'm starting to like. He's joking, and every once in a while he'll be like, da 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 da, and I'm like, I love you. It's so good. The music, obviously, like when you hear that theme song, the Final Fantasy VII theme song, playing when you're in battles, I'm just so happy. Now, that is potentially one of the places where a lot of people don't like it, though, is the gameplay. It isn't a turn-based game. It is an action RPG. They've made it that way. I love it because I just love actually being able to be Cloud and running around and feeling like I'm wielding this gigantic sword and just destroying things and characters. That I love. But if you're a purist, you want it as a turn-based game. You can actually set it to a classic mode, which makes it a little bit more like a turn-based game. You don't have to then press the attack button anymore. It's no longer an action RPG. It still looks like it because you'll still have the characters running around, but whoever you're controlling will battle on their own for you, and you can just kind of pay attention to what abilities you're going to use, which items, which spells, summons, and all that kind of stuff. So then you're just more micromanaging like you would in a turn-based game. The only thing is that then the default for classic is easy, so you're not really getting as much of a challenge. So I play it on normal, and I like wielding it as an action RPG because I also think that with the remake it works really well in this setting because it's a 2020 game. And if I really want to play a turn-based version of Final Fantasy VII, I'll just go back and play it on the Switch or PlayStation 4, like the HD skin version where it still looks like the old game, just with HD graphics. Not to this extent, obviously. Just they coded it with HD. And then I feel that kind of separates them both. So that, I understand that some people might not like it. I still really like that. The other thing that some people might not like is that they added something that Aerith sees at the beginning with Cloud. And if you've played the game, you know what I'm talking about, like the remake. And I was like, I don't really like this. This is not at all in the original game. Everything up to that point and afterwards really is still part of the actual game and story, just with more detail. But this, they've added it, and it comes out throughout the game. But I'm now starting to be interested in seeing where they're going to go with this, because there more things have happened since then, and I kind of want to see where they're going with it. So I'm okay with it, but some people might not be, because that's not at all part of FF7. Like, I think some people can kind of accept that it's an action-based game, and they can actually go back to classical, so it kind of feels a little bit more like a turn-based. But adding this other thing that kind of changes the story a little bit, or adds to the story in a way that wouldn't make sense, really, with the original, I kind of get that. But everything else, like the music, just hearing the music and going to these iconic moments in the game that you've seen before, just now in the remake version, is so much fun. I'm having a blast with this. I cannot wait for more of this. I so hope that we get all the parts for this soon. Every 6 months would be perfect. I think that's the high hopes there. But I maybe once a year would be amazing, and then do Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy IX, Legend of Dragoon. So yeah. Let me know in the comments below what you're thinking about the remake so far. I will probably do an update at some point down the road once I've beaten the game, either in like a review, or I might do like a gaming update where I talk about all the games that I've been playing in the last little bit, because I haven't done one of those in a long time. But yeah, let me know what you think about the remake. You have all been bearded in. Beardage!